Are you ready to go 5 pounds down and get a total body tone up? Well, grab your lightest dumbbells and let's go. All right, beautiful bees, get your dumbbells completely out of the way and let's get started with a warm-up. That means we're starting with some arm circles with high knees. You guys, welcome to the workout. I'm Pahla B, I'm your best middle-aged fitness friend, and around here, we are all about making peace with your menopausal body by finding a healthy weight and moving in ways that feel like love. And do you know what feels like love? Finding that healthy weight with the 5-0 method, where every day we do 5 things that make you say, oh, I had no idea it could be this simple to lose weight at our age. Every day we're going to eat the right number of calories, which is not necessarily less than you've been eating before. Every day we drink the right amount of water, which is half your body weight in pounds in fluid ounces of water. Every day we get the right amount of sleep by going to bed at the same time every night, getting up at the same time every morning, and not worrying about how much in between that was actual sleep, because sometimes it's not. Let's go ahead and do some arm crossers with booty kickers. Every single day we exercise moderately, so that we can do it every single day, which is not necessarily more than you were doing before. And the most important thing of all, every single day, we manage our minds by finding our thoughts and deciding if they're helpful. And I do have a helpful thought for you today. This is actually one of my favorites. And I know I say that literally every day, so I'm going to continue saying it. But this one has been particularly helpful for me, and here it is. I make mistakes. Right? Because I do. Welcome to my home where I make mistakes. Welcome to Blossom's home. She occasionally makes mistakes. Not as often as she used to. I tell you what, Blossom used to be the kind of dog who ate everything. If you left it on the ground, and not food things, I'm talking like important documents, bills that we needed to pay, $20 bills, like she would just shred everything. And now that she's older, she doesn't do that anymore. She doesn't make mistakes like that anymore. You guys, let me tell you real quick about the workout today. I've got the handy dandy gym balls here set for intervals of 20 seconds of work and 10 seconds of rest. Not very long intervals and not very much rest, but because we have our lightest dumbbells in hand today, I really want you to be thinking about what feels moderate to you. We're not trying to go too fast. We're not trying to go too slow. We're just making this a nice Goldilocks workout. And I've got some mini circuits, not too many of them, but I've got mini circuits that we're going to be completing 2 times in a row before we move on to the next thing. We're going to get started right now. Yeah, kind of right now. I'm going to go ahead and do like one more welcome to my home. But we're going to get started right now with some umbrella openers, which is a very traditional strength exercise. And we're going to find the exact right pace so that this feels good for today. So umbrella openers means that we've got one hand moving forward, one hand moving out to the side, and the opposite leg kicking out to the opposite side. We're opening in 3 different directions like an umbrella. And I'm moving at a pace that's slightly faster than strength and slightly slower than cardio. And when it beeps, we get 10 seconds of rest. You guys, don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by the rest. There will be plenty of it, but also your heart rate is going to come up when it beeps again. We're doing peekaboo side kicks. You're going to have your knees, going to have your elbows at shoulder height, opening up and closing those elbows while kicking one leg out to the side at a time. Really thinking about having that core pulled in nice and tight. This is cardio strength, strengthy cardio. We're finding that nice middle ground where we can move and really pay attention to our form, but we're also moving quickly enough. Here's 10 seconds of rest. We're moving quickly enough that your heart rate is coming up. Also, when it beeps again, we're doing triceps curldowns. This is exactly like punch down tap outs. It's literally the same motion. It just so happens that I have dumbbells in my hand. So when I have the dumbbells in my hand, because we're really using those triceps, I call them triceps curldowns. Have you ever noticed that before? It's the exact same exercise. I do that for a couple of different exercises. I call it one thing when it's strength, and I call it something else when it's cardio. Here's 10 seconds of rest. This one really specifically, they're both cardio, but they've got different names. When it beeps again, we're doing that mini circuit one more time. So we're starting again with those umbrella openers, really thinking about having your core pulled in tight, moving at a pace that feels right for your weights. Now, here's the thing. You might have discovered that you chose your lightest pair of weights, and they're not all that light when we're moving at this pace. Feel free to drop your weights. This is supposed to feel moderate. It's supposed to feel just right. Here's 10 seconds of rest. The thing about moderate is that it is a pace and a duration and an intensity that you could do, here we go with Peekaboo side kicks, that you could do every single day for the rest of your life. Yes. Does that make you want to drop your weights? Does that make you want to take it down a notch? Does that mean that maybe you're going to think about your heart rate just a little bit more, not quite so fast, not quite so intense? It is never, here's my 10 seconds of rest. It's yours too. When it beeps again. We're doing those triceps curldowns for the second and final time. It is never my intention, here we go, triceps curldowns. It's never my intention to make you sore. It's never my intention to tell you to go harder and do more and you've got more in you and push, push, push. In fact, that could be the reason why you're having trouble with your weight right now at our age. You guys, did you know that as we lose estrogen, we also, here's 10 seconds of rest, and then we're going to get started on our next mini circuit. We're going to be doing starbursts. That's where we get little and we get big. So we're crouching down a little bit. It does not need to be a full squat. Just a little squat and then up and out. Both hands and one foot coming up and out. You could move faster if you wanted to, but could you do that every single day for the rest of your life? Probably not. You guys, the thing about dwindling estrogen is that it changed our ability to exercise the way we used to. Here's 10 seconds of rest, and coming up next is twisting high knees. Literally what it sounds like. We're going to twist our upper body to one side and then the other while bringing up one high knee at a time. So twisting and bringing up one high knee. The thing is that estrogen had a lot of jobs besides the obvious one. You know that video they showed us in 4th grade that was like, oh, and now your body is changing and you'll get periods. And really kind of like our whole life, everybody always kind of made it sound like estrogen was only giving you your period. Here's 10 seconds of rest. Coming up next, we're doing cross back press ups. So it's kind of a curtsy lunge. You don't really have to lunge all that far, just as long as you're stepping back. As you're stepping back, that same hand is going up overhead. You can come into as much of a lunge as feels comfortable for you. That's not real lungy for me, to be honest. It's a step back, a cross back. You guys, when it beeps again, we're getting that 10 seconds of rest. The thing is, estrogen has been doing a ton of other things. Here's 10 seconds of rest, and then coming up next, we're going to do this mini circuit one more time. So we're starting again with starbursts, where we get little and we get big. Estrogen was helping your cortisol not stay in your body for very long. It's one of the things that like attenuates cortisol, which is why I don't know what's happening with my YouTube lately. Well, YouTube figured out how old I am is really what it is, and they should have figured this out a long time ago because I've been on YouTube for like 10 years. But YouTube just figured out how old I am. Here's 10 seconds of rest. And so I keep getting that ad that talks about how at your age, estrogen goes down and cortisol goes up. When it beeps again, we're doing twisting high knees. That's not exactly true. Cortisol doesn't just go up. Cortisol does what cortisol has always been doing. It's just that we don't have estrogen to like tell it to knock it off anymore. So cortisol can keep going up, up, up if we don't take care to do the right things, which is to say, if we continue working out as hard as we used to, yeah, cortisol will continue to go up. But if we take charge and do a nice moderate workout like this, like this, your cortisol doesn't have to go up. Here we go with those cross back press ups. I got very into that. I forgot what we were doing. We're exercising. You guys, when it beeps again, I've got 10 more seconds of rest for us, and then we're going to go into our next mini circuit. You are actually in charge of how much cortisol you have in your body. And that means that you need to do something about it versus just trying to exercise harder and more intensely and faster and heavier and all the things. Here we go with shooting stars. We're reaching to one side while kicking. I was doing my disco fingers. Did you see that? We're reaching to one side while kicking out to the other side. I used to do disco dancers all the time where we were just tapping out. And then as soon as I discovered that we could turn this into like a little bit of balance work, here's 10 seconds of rest, then of course I made it balance work. Obviously, what else would I do? When it beeps again, we're doing low swinging tappers. So hands are swinging low. They're actually getting up pretty high. It's just that they're not going above your head. And your feet are just tapping from side to side. Feel free, depending on what feels good to you, to either get this rocking or keep it a little bit lower. Only you know what's moderate for you. And now you know This is why we do moderate exercise. My friend, the harder you work, the more cortisol you have. 10 seconds of rest. It's not out of your control, but the more cortisol you are flooding into your body, because cortisol is actually good for you. It helps you with exercise. When it beeps again, we're doing half jacks. Half of a jumping jack on one side, half on the other side. Cortisol is actually an anti-inflammatory. Did you know that? I didn't until somewhat recently. Like, I knew it had something to do with something, stress, but I didn't know how or why. Well, cortisol actually helps your inflammation. Your body sends out cortisol after you've had a workout to help you. Here's 10 seconds of rest. When it beeps again, we're doing those shooting stars. You can have disco fingers or not. It's totally up to you. I don't care. I do disco fingers because I like them. But cortisol actually helps your body reduce the inflammation of that workout that you've just done. But the reason why we think of cortisol as being like a bad hormone is because it can stick around for too long. Once it sticks around for too long, it starts doing damage to your body. Honestly, like anything, here's 10 seconds of rest. Anything that's good for you, if you have too much of it, it's bad for you. Low swinging tappers are next. Your hands are swinging under the rainbow while your feet are tapping from side to side. And it's one of those funny things. I actually Googled this one time because I was like, can you really die from like too much oxygen? Like, oxygen, obviously it's good for you. You need oxygen. Yes, you can. You can die from too much water. You can die from too much oxygen. You can have anything, here's 10 seconds of rest, that is good for you, turn bad for you. So cortisol, actually really good for you, right up until it's not. When it beeps again, we're doing those half jacks for the second and final time. The left half and the right half. Half of a jumping jack. You guys, coming up next, we've got our next mini circuit. We're gonna have 10 seconds of rest here. And then I'm gonna get myself mentally prepared for this right now. We're doing something that we don't do very often. I really have to think about this. And there's a good chance that I could make mistakes because sometimes I do. Here's 10 seconds of rest. We're doing wide walking stars. So you're gonna start with your hands here at your chest with your elbows out wide. We're going to step out to the side and open that hand, and then out to the other side, and then back, and then tap. So it's not forward, forward, back, tap. It's side, side, back, tap, side, side, back, tap. Yeah, it feels very different, doesn't it? It's actually the same motion almost exactly, but it feels very different. Therefore, I have to think about it quite a bit. Here's 10 seconds of rest. When it beeps again, we're doing double knees, hands up overhead. This is gonna bring your heart rate up quite a bit. So you figure out what feels best to you. And don't worry, you can make a mistake. You guys, this helpful thought is one of my absolute favorites. It is some of the absolute best work that I have ever done for myself. I know you know that everybody makes mistakes. Like, everybody makes mistakes. Here's 10 seconds of rest. Everybody, you know that I do. I mean, obviously you know that I do. When it beeps again, we're doing side kick curls. So you're gonna lock those elbows right into your waist here. You're gonna do a side kick while we're doing curls. So really thinking about like that halfway in between strength and cardio pace. Whatever pace works for you always works for me. You're not making a mistake unless you are injuring yourself. And then frankly, that's an accident. That's not really a mistake. The thing about making mistakes is that we think that there's something wrong with them. You know, when I say I make mistakes, here's 10 seconds of rest. Coming up next, we're doing those wide walking stars again. When I say I make mistakes, you're like, okay, that's fine. And yet, the way that you know that it's a helpful thought for you is how you feel when you say that. When I say I make mistakes, I feel, what do I feel? Actually, what is the word? Let me think about that for a quick second while we're doing these wide walking stars. I feel very empowered that I make mistakes because of this work that I have done. Here's 10 seconds of rest. Coming up next, we're doing those double knees. I used to have a little parenthetical on the back of that sentence all the time. So that sentence, I make mistakes. Here we go with double knees. 2 knees on one side and 2 knees on the other. Your hands are up overhead. So really thinking about finding your moderate. I used to think I make mistakes, and then there was the parenthetical, but I shouldn't. Or I used to say I make mistakes and I wish I wouldn't. Here's 10 seconds of rest. Now, honestly, I think I make mistakes and it helps other people realize that they can make mistakes too. Here we go with those side kick curls. I truly believe that I make mistakes is one of my superpowers. I don't remember what day that was, but it's one of my many superpowers along with talking. Because I know that when I make mistakes and I don't try and edit them out and I don't try and be perfect, here's 10 seconds of rest. And coming up next, okay, we're moving into our next mini circuit. We're doing swimming frogs. So hands are gonna start off overhead. We're gonna bring our elbows down and out to the side while bringing one foot, or rather one knee, out to the side as well. Hands up overhead with light weights in your hands might mean that it's time to drop your weights. Totally okay. It's not a mistake when you drop your weights. That's you actually empowering yourself to do what's right for you. When it beeps again, 10 seconds of rest. And then we're doing sumo X's. Gonna have our feet almost uncomfortably wide, coming down into a sumo squat. And as we stand up from the sumo squat, hands are gonna make the top half of the letter X. Really thinking about pulling in your core, really pushing your booty back to come down into that sumo squat, and then squeezing from the middle of your back to make that letter X. Excellent, excellent job. When it beeps, we'll get 10 seconds of rest. Oh my goodness, what a good job you've done. Okay, 10 seconds of rest, and then coming up next, we're doing push-push. And it's just the push-push without the crunch, because when we have these light weights, did you notice? Even with all this rest, even with these, relatively speaking, here we go with push-push, relatively short intervals, oh yeah, your heart rate's up. We're getting our work done. This is nice and moderate. This is something that I could do every day. Would I want to? No, not necessarily, because I don't like having dumbbells in my hands every single day. I do like having them in my hands. Here's 10 seconds of rest. I do like having them in my hands like 2 or 3 times a week. Really 3 times a week is my preference because it feels good. When it beeps again, we're doing those swimming frogs, hands up overhead, one knee out to the side, both elbows out nice and wide, really thinking about pulling from the middle of your back. Excellent job. The thing about finding your moderate is that you might actually make mistakes on your way there. And you'll know that you've made a mistake, here's 10 seconds of rest, if you feel sore, if you feel kind of burnt out, if it feels like, okay, I actually can't do this every single day. When it beeps again, we're doing those sumo X's, feet nice and wide, down in a sumo squat, up nice and wide, hands go up and out to the side, really thinking about not shrugging your shoulders. If it feels like you're trying to pull this work from the tops of your shoulders, if your shoulders are trying to turn into earrings, my friends, bring that work a little bit lower in your back. Use those big back muscles, your latissimus dorsi, to do this work for you. Here's 10 seconds of rest. Coming up next, we're doing push-push for the second and final. Whew, time. The thing about having dumbbells in my hands every single day, I was thinking about this. I love to tell you that this is something that we could do every single day, but having a nice variety of different kinds of workouts, different kinds of exercises, different kinds of things, first of all, will just help keep you more mentally engaged, even more so than being physically good for you. Here's 10 seconds of rest. And now, my friends, we are moving into our final mini circuit. I couldn't think of the word. Final mini circuit with washing machines. Elbows nice and high. We're twisting one direction while tapping our opposite foot out in front of us, really deepening that twist. If twisting is something that doesn't feel good for you, it's not good for you, my friends, don't twist. Help yourself to any other exercise in the world that feels good and works for you. Here's 10 seconds of rest. When it beeps again, doing dancing X's. Speaking of not having your shoulders up as earrings, gonna have our hands wide and our feet wide, really pulling from the middle of your back to crunch in the middle, bringing your opposite elbow to your opposite knee. My friends, the thing about your helpful thought, sometimes the thought itself may or may not be helpful. It's the next thing that you add on to it that turns it into an unhelpful thought. I make mistakes in and of itself. Here's 10 seconds of rest. Might not sound like anything. It's the next couple of thoughts that you have about, but I shouldn't, but I wish I wouldn't. When it beeps again, we're doing front punch, side kick. So front punch while we kick out to the side. It's a side raise of your leg. It's not really a kick. Help yourself to whatever kind of motion feels best to you. This is definitely balance. Thinking about pulling in your core, thinking about moving with precision while we're moving kind of quickly. Whatever works for you always works for me. 10 seconds of rest totally works for me. And now we're going to repeat this mini circuit for the second and final time, starting with washing machines. Really thinking about either twisting, if you can twist, like to twist, or doing the thing that you're doing if you don't like to twist. My friend, not every exercise I have is appropriate for every single person. It is always, always, always up to you to find the things that work best for you, to find the exercises that work, to find the intensity that works. Here's 10 seconds of rest, to find the type of work that gets you where you want to go. When it beeps again, we're doing those dancing X's. The fact is, you do need to work out moderately, but my moderate is not necessarily yours. In order to get your best results, it's definitely up to you to pay attention. And like I said, that might mean you make mistakes. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes. Mistakes are information. And sometimes it's the best information that you can have. Here's 10 seconds of rest. I have made plenty of moderation mistakes when it beeps again. We're doing that front punch, side kick. I'm going across my body. I think I had intended to not go across my body, but here we are. This is happening. When it beeps again, you guys, we are done. Oh, but we are not quite finished. We're gonna get 10 seconds of rest, and then I have one final exercise for us that I know you're going to enjoy because it's balance work, and balance work is some of the best work that we can do. We're doing star balance press-ups. I'm gonna try to balance on one side the entire time and do the press-ups as many reps as I can. So we're coming down into that star balance, pressing up. If you would like to stand back up, totally okay with you. I'm gonna hold this balance. If that doesn't work for you, that doesn't work for you. Bring that balance all the way up into your abs and your glutes. Unclench your toes, unlock your knee. Make this workout work. 10 seconds of rest. And then we get to do that exact same thing on the other side. And then, you guys, better than done. We'll be finished with this workout. Here we go into that star balance, press up. And not only are we done with today, but we are about to be finished with this week's 5 video series. Every 4 weeks, I put out another 5 videos, and this, being the month of October, means that we are really coming to the end of the year. Oh my gosh, go ahead and put those dumbbells completely down. And let's cool it down. I promised you, even not moving at a fast pace, those light dumbbells and that nice Goldilocks pace got just the exact right amount of sweaty. What a great, great, great job you did. Even if you made mistakes, maybe even especially if you made mistakes, I wholeheartedly encourage you to do this work. Being unembarrassed, unashamed, and not worried about making mistakes, honestly, is the thing that has freed me up to do almost everything in my life. I don't worry about mistakes. I know I'm going to make them, and therefore I embrace them. They will have their own feelings attached to them. We talked about this yesterday. I can feel that. I can feel embarrassment. I can feel shame. I can feel silly. I can feel foolish. I can feel all kinds of things. I can also feel, what a beautiful stretch, and close that up. Give yourself a big hug and a pat on your sweaty back. Oh, my friends, what a great, great, great job you did today. What a great job you've done this week. What a great job you've done this year. What a great job you're doing. You are making mistakes and moving forward, making your dreams come true, making your goals happen this year, next year, whenever year they happen. You are the one making it. So proud of you, and I'm so grateful that you work out with me. You guys, this is the end of this series for right now, but before you go, make sure you click that subscribe button, and no matter what video you watch tomorrow, I'll see you tomorrow.